Welcome to the 2023 Downtown Mayoral Forum. I'm glad to see you all here. I know it's really hot. Back in the day, they used fans, so we're just going to do that for a while. My name is Alice Clark, and I am the Executive Director of the Downtown Bellingham Partnership. We are a nonprofit organization that is a sole mission of supporting the downtown neighborhood. And we do that in a variety of ways. We produce award-winning events like Downtown Sounds, which you can come to tomorrow night on Bay Street. We support the downtown business community and the downtown economy. We also promote downtown as a place to live, work, play, visit, and events like this, where we actually talk about downtown and the issues pertaining to it. So I'm glad you're here. It's going to be a great event. Because we care so much about downtown, we wanted to do it so that we could have the opportunity for you as community members to bring up questions and hear what the candidates have to say. And we also wanted to give the candidates an opportunity to talk about their ideas and their ideas about the future of downtown, the challenges and opportunities and how they would handle those. So I want to thank Guy from the Chamber of Commerce. The Bellingham Regional Chamber of Commerce is our partner in this event. Veritas Media is our sponsor, which I'm really grateful for. They mobilized really quickly and they're helping us with sound, streaming live right now, and also this will be recorded so you can watch it afterwards or share it with other people. I also want to thank the City of Bellingham and the Old City Hall staff for helping us out too. In addition, the partnership staff who would probably be resting if it was ordinarily another week, but because we have sounds tomorrow, we work from like the break of day till 10 o'clock at night. So thank you guys for being here, and also our board of directors. I want to introduce Chris Roselli, who will be our moderator tonight. He helped us out in 2019 when we did this, and he's very diplomatic and thoughtful and also passionate about downtown. And he's also on the board of both of our boards of directors, and he's an awesome board member. So take it away, Chris.
Thank you, Alice. Good evening, everyone. As Alice mentioned, my name is Chris Roselli. I'm the Director of Community Relations with Western Washington University. It's really an honor for me to be here tonight, to have been asked to moderate this event. I lived in Bellingham since 1995 to attend Western, and perhaps like many of you, I fell in love with this community and never left. So I met my wife here, and we decided this is a great place to establish our roots as well. So before we get started, I want to go over 3 simple rules for everybody and a little bit of housekeeping as well, so that way we can stay on time. Rule number 1, refrain from applauding or in other ways demonstrating support or non-support of a candidate. No hissing, throwing tomatoes, any of those things is allowed in this room tonight. Please also, rule number 2, take a moment right now to silence your cell phones. For you young folks or snappers out there, you can take one last snap before you have to put your phone away for the next hour and a half. And then rule number 3, we ask that we please no signage allowed inside this forum. We want this to be a neutral space for all so we can listen to what the candidates have to say. Also, restrooms are available on the first floor to the right of the stairs, perhaps the most important of the things I've mentioned today. And also elevators are located right outside this door to my right if you need to use the elevator to exit the building. As Alice mentioned, this forum is being live streamed and recorded thanks to Veritas Media. Thank you, Veritas. It will be available on the Downtown Bellingham Partnership's YouTube page and also their website if you want to see this afterwards or share it with anybody else. And also, KGMI Radio is also streaming tonight's event. So Bellingham has a strong mayor form of government where the elected mayor serves as the executive and administrative leader, overseeing all employees and city actions and budget, including public works projects and law enforcement. And as we all, I think, know, the mayor serves a 4-year term. So I would like to introduce our candidates for Bellingham mayor. To my right, we have Chris McCoy. You can give a wave if you'd like, Chris. There we go. Kristina Michele Martens, Seth Fleetwood, Mike McAuley, Kim Lund, and Joel Johnson. Civic leadership is not easy. It can often be thankless and tiring work and requires self-sacrifice and commitment. So please, let's give a warm welcome to our 5 candidates who have chosen to run for office to lead the city of Bellingham. So today's forum will be approximately 1 hour and 30 minutes. The candidates will have 60 seconds for opening remarks, and then after opening remarks, I will ask questions to the candidates, and they will have 45 seconds to answer, which isn't very long. And the boss in the front row says, fine. 90 seconds it is for the opening. See, just like that, we're changing the rules as it goes. So great. So 90 seconds opening. That's why I'm going over these. Thank you so much for clarifying. And then when we get past the opening remarks of 90 seconds, we will then have questions where you will have 45 seconds to answer. I will rotate who will start as we move through those questions. If we do have follow-up questions, or if a candidate mentions another candidate by name, that candidate will have 30 seconds for a rebuttal. The time is being kept by our awesome volunteers here in the front row. We ask that candidates respectfully follow the rules. Our timer will also have a sign that notifies you when you have 15 seconds and 5 seconds remaining and even a stop sign. Our first round of questions come from questions submitted from the Downtown Bellingham Partnership Board and staff and the public, and will be posed to the candidates in the order that you appear on stage. When we conclude those questions, we will move to questions collected from tonight's audience here in the room. Cards will be passed around for you to submit. Please pass them to the center aisle, and for those of you upstairs, volunteers will come up to collect questions from you as well. Selected questions will be handed to me where I will ask those questions out loud for candidates to answer. Again, the candidates will have 45 seconds to respond to each question, and then finally, at the conclusion of all questioning, each candidate, I assume it was 90 seconds for the closing statement as well? Yeah, right. You will have 60 seconds for your closing remarks. You got that, timers? You're all good to go? Okay, perfect. So we will now move to the heart of the forum and talk about the issues that are important to those who care about downtown Bellingham. In truly this beautiful, historic space where many decisions have been made in times of celebration, in times of trial, many different discussions, meetings, forums, debates have happened here, and it's an honor that we all get to be here again to be able to do this. All right. Let me see, make sure I got everything squared away. Okay, let's get started with the opening statements. You each have 90 seconds for your opening statements, and we will start with you, Chris.
Hello, there we go. Hey, so thank you all so very much for being here. This is an incredible part of the campaigning process. My name's Chris McCoy. I moved to Bellingham, Washington in 1996 from rural Colorado when I was 9 years old. I grew up here and was first drawn to community development and community leadership actually in middle school. At Culture Middle School, I was part of the steering committee for the grand reopening of Bellingham back in 2001. So early on, I would just naturally gravitated towards leadership. Also then continued that process going through and graduating Whatcom Community College as well as Western Washington University, where I studied economics and environmental studies. After college, I was pursuing a career in green building. I'm a certified green building advisor, and then my mother actually developed early onset Alzheimer's, which led me to starting a small business so I could both care for her and be able to have a professional opportunity. So that business was called Kombucha Town. It started at the farmer's market and has grown into a successful national brand. COVID hit it hard, but we've successfully regrown from that. And so that unique mix of leadership skills that come from both my education and my experience in the last 15 years as a business owner in downtown Bellingham, employing hundreds of individuals in town, as well as becoming a father, is something that really called to having deep roots here, being concerned with some of the growing pains here, and having a very unique and executive skill set to address those problems. I look forward to your questions.
Thank you, Chris. Kristina, you have 90 seconds.
First Black woman to serve on Bellingham City Council. My partner and I moved here in 2016 from San Diego, California, because in 2015, when there were 12 other candidates, Republican candidates in the mayoral race, in the presidential race at that time, I knew Donald Trump was going to win. And I know that that takes a lot of people by surprise, but because of being a Black woman in America, I understand and live being the demographic that is forgotten about, left behind, and not advocated for. And so I spent 8 months researching where to go to try to outrun the Second Civil War, and Bellingham popped up for all the incredible and amazing reasons that you all live here. COVID opened all of our eyes, and I would say the murder of George Floyd, which went absolutely viral around the world, helped to open them even more widely. If we want different outcomes for the issues facing our city, our state, our nation, our species, we have to try different approaches and different solutions, and for that we need a different style of leadership. I am so honored and lucky to meet with so many wonderful community members on a daily basis, and I know you have the answers to what we're facing, and I would be honored to help lead this community through these trying times.
Thank you, Kristina. Thank you. Seth Fleetwood, you have 90 seconds.
Good evening, everybody. It's really a pleasure to be here. Thank you to the Chamber. Thank you to the Downtown Bellingham Partnership. Many of you know, but for newcomers, I'll mention I previously served a couple of terms on the Whatcom County Council and 2 terms on the Bellingham City Council. And it's been my honor serving as your mayor for these last 4 challenging years. And whatever happens in this competition in the coming months, it's been the honor of my lifetime serving you as mayor this past term. Downtown Bellingham is the central gathering place. It's our hub. It's our beating heart. We all care about it enormously. From the time that I was a little kid growing up here when we had a thriving downtown to the time that Bellis Fair came in and we saw downtown tank when all the anchor stores left, to the comeback that we've seen in the years leading up to the pandemic, and then of course the challenges that we've had in recent years since the pandemic caused just an array of issues that we've had to grapple with. I have enormous confidence about the long-term prospects of downtown. The fundamental elements are all there that absolutely assure that it's going to be a popular, thriving place. We get to direct it, but in the short term, we've been addressing problems. And I'm happy to say that my administration, under my leadership, has been demonstrating caring, responsive, effective response to deal with problems, and things are getting better. I look forward to elaborating more as we go on.
Thank you, Seth. Mike McCauley, you have 90 seconds.
All right, I'm going to stay on topic, so I'm going to read this. I believe that this year I'm offering the people of Bellingham a unique opportunity. Most of the time, our ballots are full of people that don't quite have the right skill set for the job that they're seeking. I can assure you that I have strong opinions about this job, much like many other people do, But I also have a background with over 2 decades of civic engagement right here in Bellingham. I got my start on the Downtown Renaissance Network about 21 years ago, so I'm very familiar with the downtown. I'm a former builder. I've owned several businesses here in the city. I now design things for other people to build. I'm a building designer. I've been a homeowner. I'm currently a renter, and I've been on more boards and commissions than I can probably count. I think a lot of you in the room, I've been on boards and commissions with you. I'm currently one of your planning commissioners for the city of Bellingham. I have an undergraduate degree in urban ecology and environmental studies from the Evergreen State College, and a master's degree from Western, where I wrote my graduate thesis on growth and growth management here in Whatcom County. I was your port commissioner for 8 years, where I focused on the health of our local economy, and I've managed troops in combat. All that being said, I think that the skill set that I bring to the work of the mayor's office is exactly what we need this year. I have a detailed 5-point plan that I'd like to roll out next year. I'd like to get to functional zero by housing our unhoused, use municipal revenue bonds, not new taxes, to build permanently affordable housing, aggressively pursue transportation mode shift, and let's talk about placemaking, which we'll do a little bit more as we go.
Thank you, Mike. Kim Lund, you have 90 seconds.
And we deserve excellent leadership at the top of our city government and proven administrative skills to oversee the day-to-day operations of the city. I'm a big believer in Bellingham and all that it can be. I'm ready to bring decades of for-profit and nonprofit experience into City Hall to give back to this amazing place. But I do think that Bellingham is adrift. I think that it is adrift because we do not have clear vision from the top, especially in regards to downtown, and I do not see evidence of public progress, despite good efforts and significant spending. And I worry that staying the course in this moment will continue to deplete our empathy bank and corrode our belief in government to do good. I'm an engineer, I'm deeply curious. I want to understand the best way to do things, to take data-informed approaches and get that work done. I'm an engaged and approachable leader. I manage by walking around. I want to understand what the opportunities and the roadblocks are to people doing good work. I'm experienced at bringing transparent accountability to coordinate effective action across systems. All of these combine to be the basis of good governance and leadership for City Hall. My campaign is about bringing energy, vibrancy, safety, and a sense of community back to Bellingham. I'm excited to do this work, and I know that together we can move Bellingham forward.
Thank you, Kim. Joel, you have 90 seconds.
Justine, thank you. Good evening, thanks, Chris. And I just want to give a special appreciation to Alice from the Downtown Bellingham Partnership and Chris from the Chamber, who have made an accommodation for me to participate tonight. It was truly an act of kindness and living out values of inclusion, and for that I'm very grateful. My name is Joel Johnson, and I'm the grassroots candidate for mayor, asking for folks to write my name in on the ballot this year. And the reason I decided to run for mayor of Bellingham was because of outrage. As a Bellingham native who was born here in 1984, when the gentleman was shot on the boardwalk, I opened my eyes to the changing Bellingham that I had not realized that we had gotten to. And then within months for the shooting to take place at Lake Padden, I'm even more convinced now than before that we need an intervention. I believe that conditions in Bellingham have met the legal definition of an emergency. That's how come when I launched this grassroots campaign on April 27th, I began calling for the proclamation of a local public health emergency to not only rapidly address infrastructure for shelter, housing, space for people living in RVs, but also mental behavioral health resources and infrastructure, and supporting the Bellingham Police. Thank you.
Thank you, Joel. Okay, we will now move on to the important issues that matter to downtown Bellingham. This is a Downtown Bellingham Forum. So we have a variety of questions that have been submitted by the Downtown Bellingham Partnership staff and board, as well as the public. The first question, you each have 45 seconds to answer. We will start with you, Kristina. How would you describe the community's vision for downtown Bellingham, and what do you believe is the city's role in implementing that vision?
I think the community would love for downtown Bellingham to be a space where the community can really come together and gather and meet their neighbors, get to know new friends, and support each other. And I truly believe that the fastest way to achieving that goal is to open a community center downtown if we want more traffic on the streets, if we want people to be more engaged and really just hanging out and bringing more vibrancy to the heart of the city. We have to offer them a place to come together and hang out and collaborate that you don't have to pay for. Unfortunately, almost every place inside has a monetary requirement, and if we want to bring community to our community, I think we start by letting them get together right where we want them the most.
Thank you, Kristina. Seth?
Our community's created already Can you hear me okay?
Now we can hear you.
There we go. Our community's created a vision for the downtown. It's reflected in all kinds of planning documents. It's a thriving place. It's a place that has dramatically more density than we presently have. It's a place where people live, work, play. It's a place that's going to be green, teeming with life, planted with lots and lots of trees. It's a place that's going to have all kinds of public plazas where people can go. We're going to engage in multifunctionality in all of our space making. It's going to draw people together. We're going to have social cohesion. It's an exciting vision for the future, and I look forward to talking about all the ways that we're going to make it happen.
Thank you, Seth. Mike?
I turned it off because you can hear that when we're setting our cups down. Wow. So maybe 2002, I was engaged in a class at Western, and I wrote the transportation element for an environmental impact assessment of the downtown plan. So Seth is right. There's a lot of great ideas for downtown. The challenge is implementing them, right? So it's always based on the availability of a piece of property, the funding sources that are there. But in the meantime, I mentioned placemaking in my opening. There's a lot of work we can do to activate our core, and the Downtown Bellingham Partnership is definitely working on those things. And it's that placemaking where we create a unique experience in this neighborhood that we should do in every neighborhood that creates a vibrant downtown.
Thank you, Mike. Kim?
I think the vision from this community has come across loud and clear in this campaign. It's one that fosters the sense of safety and belonging for all. It's a downtown that's accessible for families and children. It's businesses that are thriving. And I think that we need to take actions in this moment to stabilize the downtown, because if we lose the downtown, we lose the core of this community. So we need to be employing more emergency shelter options. We need compassion alongside accountability. We need to invest in more security safety solutions, and we need to be setting a long-term, vibrant plan for economic growth for this community in parallel.
Thank you, Kim. Joel?
Thank you, Chris. In downtown, what the vision for a proclamation of a local public health emergency will look like is the immediate closure of alleyways downtown. We will have a public safety presence that will restore a sense of security in our community. People will be able to see, even if it's not a sworn officer, a city employee in a fluorescent vest on the corner that is ensuring that someone isn't out there littering, somebody isn't out there setting up a structure on the sidewalk. What we don't need downtown is more shelters. We need to disperse all of our community members throughout the community, not have this population concentrated downtown.
Thank you, Joel. The next question, which yes. Thank you, I did not catch that, thank you.
I did not say Seth's name.
Michael did. My mic's acting funny. Is this better? Always mic problems. No.
30 seconds, but I didn't even
Yeah,
challenge
right.
you.
That's true, he didn't. I'll defer on my 30 seconds.
We know
Thank
how
you.
We can
Michael's
go on.
Thanks for playing by the rules.
And also, I did not give Chris McCoy a chance to answer. Sorry, I started with Kristina. Chris, my mistake.
That's okay. So the vision of downtown is one I've been living and creating as a downtown business owner for over a decade now with Kombucha Town and the Culture Cafe. They've both been great staples of our community and brands that I think resonate and really represent the values of our community, which is one of vibrancy, health, arts, culture. We want to be a very strong place for small business to thrive. I do see that there are some public safety concerns that are very real right now and are a top priority for my campaign, and I see many of the other candidates prioritizing that, which I think is incredibly important. So my vision is that it's a safe place, that we have enough community and we can collectively rally together so that the people that are sort of stuck downtown without a home have safe places to go where they're supported, so the businesses like mine can continue to thrive and make Bellingham an awesome place to come downtown.
Thank you, Chris. Okay, the next question, which we will start with Seth on this question. As mayor, how would you improve and grow downtown Bellingham over the next 4 years?
Well, I guess I'd go back to the observation about the future that we need, which is increased density. We need new office space for folks. We need more people living downtown. How do we do that? We identify catalyst locations and identify important partnerships. And we've been beginning that work. There's a Canadian firm with whom we're engaged, identifying just that. We're partnering with the WTA. There's some exciting planning that's going on in that regard. There's a number of opportunities around. There's the new effort with the development agreement with the two people that are from Bellingham, who I went to high school with, Kurt O'Connor and Pete Dawson, who are stimulating the beginning growth of the old town after years and years. So partnerships and catalyst locations.
Thank you, Seth. Mike.
Oh boy, 45 seconds, y'all. This is tough. I present a clean downtown, right? Create a perception that downtown is a place that people want to be. Infilling in the downtown is going to look different than it used to. So we used to think that our downtown cores were where people went to work in an office, and that's clearly changed. We're seeing places all over the country where downtowns are being gutted because the office workers aren't there anymore, which means we need more people to live in our downtowns. So I think that as we infill, we need to have a strong focus on the businesses that bring people to the downtown and want to live downtown. That's a product, right? A thing that people want to live in that they like. So they'll choose downtown. And we need a transportation network. I'm proposing micromobility corridors to help people move around our city and get downtown.
Thank you. Kim.
I agree with much of what's been said so far, but I think we need to do it in a really systematic approach, and it needs to be community-centered. And I am deeply inspired by what Seattle has done with their downtown activation plan. Mayor Harrell set out a strong vision. It details plans of action that follow a continuum from immediate stabilization actions, much of which have been called for already, and then they pair that with what are the 0 to 3 year action steps. What does it look like in 7 to 10 years? And it creates that strong vision and foundation for all of that work to take place in an integrated, systemic way. That is the approach we need to move downtown forward.
Thank you, Kim. Joel.
Thank you. Within the proclamation of a local public health emergency, we are going to couple city assistance in terms of housing and shelter with community-based jobs. We're going to clean up downtown to attract businesses to downtown because let's face it, if we have an unsafe, filthy downtown, no business wants their employees to be subjected to that. That's what we see in these other metropolitan areas. We hear of companies moving out of the area because the city officials are not taking responsibility for the environment that the companies are wanting to do business in. And so I think that as mayor, it's our responsibility to make sure that it's an environment that is appealing to the companies and their employees.
Thank you, Joel. Chris.
In the first 4 years, in the next 4 years, the best way to really sort of rehabilitate downtown, which I believe downtown already is an amazing place, and I greatly appreciate all of you being here to support that. I do think that public safety being a primary concern and being a potential deterrent to businesses as well as consumers is a very important and top priority, something that is a multi-year solution to helping address homelessness, crime, as well as drug use downtown. That's a top priority. Now in that, we also need to incentivize and make sure that we're able to bring new business downtown and grow the existing businesses downtown. So organizations like the Downtown Bellingham Partnership have done an amazing job with that, and there are other great local partners that the city government can work with to continue to bolster the downtown economics.
Thank you, Chris. Kristina.
I believe that of the largest issue that the entire community seems to be talking about, the increase in people experiencing homelessness is very much affecting downtown. There is no quick solution on that to have any sort of positive impact. I think we really, really need to evaluate how we are treating people who actually work on the front lines, caseworkers and mental health professionals, because that I truly believe is the only way that we can help people in crisis get a foothold and be able to elevate themselves and move on. After that, if we want to make sure that our downtown businesses have people who are able to work there, we either have to raise the wages or we have to figure out how to decrease the rents. Because thank you.
Thank you, Kristina. And I would like to remind our audience that we are collecting questions, so please fill out questions and bring them to the center aisle, and volunteers will pick them up as the Q&A happens. Okay, the third question. And this question will start with you, Mike. And this is a long one. I'm going to give 2 minutes for each of you to answer this question. I know, crazy, it's going to feel like an hour.
Wow.
Okay, so there's a long part that sort of describes it, and then there are 2 questions to follow, and you'll have 2 minutes. This question is related to your vision for the future of downtown Bellingham. As cities recover from the pandemic and navigate increased societal challenges like an increase in opioid use, many leaders are creating comprehensive revitalization plans. As mentioned earlier, actually, Seattle's Mayor Bruce Harrell has recently announced a downtown activation plan for the city of Seattle, which includes actions related to increasing investments in commerce, housing, safety, and culture, among other things. So the questions are, would you be bringing forth a similar plan for downtown Bellingham? What will be included, and what do you believe would be required within your administration to make it possible? Do you want me to read those 3 questions one last time? One more time?
Let's all hear them again, yeah.
Yep. Would you be bringing forth a similar plan for downtown Bellingham? What will be included? And what do you believe would be required within your administration to make those possible? So would you bring forth a plan? What will be included? And what would be required to make it possible?
Let's start with what's required. What's required is leadership from the top and the appropriate staffing to implement the plan. And plans are just plans. I've been here for 25 years, and I can assure you there's a statement we used to joke about. It's called shelf art. Have you heard of the shelf art? Those are all the plans down at the library that we've created in the past and either haven't implemented or have been sort of tiptoeing towards, right? I'm not interested in more plans, right? We have a lot of really fantastic ideas. The waterfront plan was a really fantastic plan. The Downtown Renaissance Network put together good plans. The Downtown Bellingham Partnership has put together really good plans. We have good plans. We need to implement the plans that we've already created before we create new ones. The pandemic did create a situation, right, where we've seen sort of a hollowing out of some of our downtowns. Our downtown has not hollowed out like many of the other big cities across the country. We can talk about San Francisco, we can talk about Seattle, but if you look at our downtown, we're not as vibrant as we were maybe 3 or 4 years ago, but we're not hollowed out. So when we talk about, what are we gonna do, and we kind of mentioned it earlier, right? We need to bring people to the downtown. We don't need to bring more office workers. We need to bring more people who live downtown. And earlier I mentioned product, and that's what people want to live in. What is the housing product that we're promoting downtown? As a building designer and an aficionado and lover of architecture, I can assure you that interesting buildings is what brings people to the downtown. Workforce housing has got to be a critical piece of that. Right now, our housing is way too expensive. I have a workforce housing plan, Mike McAuley from mayor.com. Take a look at it. We can't put product on the marketplace that's too expensive for people to live downtown. So in a nutshell, we don't need more plans. We need to implement the great ideas we've already generated right here. We need the right staff. We need the right leadership.
Thank you, Mike. Kim.
Well, this is a great question. I've spent the last 2 days heads down in the city of Seattle's downtown activation plan in preparation for this forum because I deeply appreciate their approach and I think it is the right remedy for this moment. And I think that one thing that I am eager to bring to the city is a more data-informed approach. And the downtown activation plan for the city of Seattle calls for dashboards and metrics. So they are measuring the effectiveness of their approaches as they go. And so some of the dashboards that they have right now are measuring foot traffic in their arts and culture district, foot traffic to their restaurants and hospitality. They're looking at tax revenues in those different sectors downtown. They're looking at the number of occupied square footage, the number of people living downtown. We could look at things like the number of overdoses, the number of services provided. We can be looking at the call volumes versus the number of safety professionals that we have in terms of fire and police in our downtown core. Let's take a data-informed approach to measure. Let's be willing to take action steps that might be imperfect, but they're going to be community-centered, and we're going to take these action steps together. We're going to measure, and we're going to adapt as needed, and we're going to move forward to bring back vibrancy and energy to the downtown that we all envision and deserve in this community. Thanks.
Thank you, Kim. Joel.
Thanks, Chris. So what would be included in the plan? What I'm proposing is 3 main areas: shelter, pathways to permanent housing for existing Bellingham residents that are experiencing homelessness, and space for people living in RVs that has access to water, sanitation, mental and behavioral health service funding, both expedited grant funding to the existing service providers, increasing those standards for the healthcare professionals that we need to attract and retain to help us in the healing process, and then supporting the Bellingham Police in realigning our priorities in terms of, instead of focusing on people that are suffering in substance abuse, let's address that through mental and behavioral health. And let's actually send a strong message to the people who are trafficking deadly substances into our community and let them know that they are not welcome here. The way that I plan to do this is a process. We are actually going to create this plan together. So I've laid out these 3 main areas, and there's a lot of work that's already been done in the community. Upon the certification of the general election, I will begin a robust community input process where the community will be able to build on these pillars and the drafted executive actions that I will be releasing upon making it into the general election. And then we will be able to get stakeholders such as the existing service providers, the Coalition to End Homelessness, all involved in that process, and upon Inauguration Day, have something that we can implement together. Thank you.
Thank you, Joel. Chris.
So I've been planning and executing on successful business plans in the downtown area for over 12 years now, just in the private sector with my businesses. I do think there are great best practices that can be gleaned from other thriving communities. My first internship early on in college was actually for the Business Alliance for Local Living Economies, which was the umbrella organization that helped found Sustainable Connections. And so those types of organizations and that sort of cohesive community development, especially in downtowns, which are the economic and the cultural heart of our community, is something that I live and breathe every day, and a big reason why I've been called to this position. In starting the process towards my candidacy, really last fall, so about 9 months ago, I really started listening to the voice of so many stakeholders in this town. Now we have a great group of volunteers, you might be able to meet a couple of them here if you'd like, who have surveyed thousands of people in this town, and as a part of that, we've created a plan. It's on my website, McCoy for Mayor, that's the number 4, and you can check it out, and we're looking for feedback on that. So I do think rapidly iterating on the plan, developing it based on the deep knowledge that we have collectively, and especially myself for downtown, having sort of lived and breathed downtown for so long. In that plan is cleaning up, making sure that we have a safe place. That's top priority number 1, especially in the near term. Then making sure that there is good economic incentive for both tourism as well as new businesses and existing businesses. That's something that really leaning into the Small Business Development Center, the Environmental Innovation Resource Center, Sustainable Connections. They already have these systems in place, and we just want to make sure that they can thrive and continue to grow. So those sorts of initiatives would be top priority. The way that would be done is making sure that we take the executive know-how that I have learned both from the SBA as well as some time with Goldman Sachs Small Business Development Program to be able to execute on those effectively, transparently, and most importantly, cost-effectively through the city government.
Thank you, Chris. Kristina.
Thank you. In the near term, again, with the increase in people experiencing homelessness and a lot of them being concentrated downtown, I would love to take one of the many, unfortunately, empty buildings and have every single outreach entity have an office in that one building, so people in crisis have one place that they have to go to get services and get help. And I think that that would definitely help foster collaboration amongst all our various entities that are here on the front lines doing the work. Unfortunately, they're not communicating very well or effectively together. After that is in place, I think that maybe, hopefully, within a year, we would see just downtown returning to much more of its 2019 state. And from there, having been born and raised in San Diego, I know what a beautiful tourist destination looks like on the waterfront. And I thought it was so cute and adorable, are about the only words I can think of, when I did actually move to Bellingham and see all the opportunity that's there. And I think what is going on the waterfront is a great start with the granary, but looking forward in an innovation ocean cluster where we're bringing tech research and ideally Western Washington University, and having art exhibits like a Meow Wolf, which is something great, you should all Google it, to make sure we're driving tourism to an almost underutilized gem of our community. And then we do in town have the Small Business Development Center, and I would love to see them get more activated. I would love to see businesses really start to lean on them as a resource and utilize all of the institutional knowledge that they have to make sure that our businesses are safe and secure, and they are not almost essentially white knuckling it down to the wire at the end of every month, making sure that their bills are paid. We have to take care of the people first, and we have to put them first again, and we really have to start thinking about how we support them. Thank you.
Thank you, Kristina. Seth.
So I suppose I should seize this opportunity to promote some of the amazing work that city staff is engaged in. We're doing a lot of really, really good work, and I don't think it gets enough attention. So I'll seize this moment as an opportunity to do just that. I don't know if we need a new plan per se, so I don't know if I would promote creation of a new plan, but perhaps it would be worthwhile to put together a lot of the things that we're doing, packaging it, if you will, and calling it a plan, because so much of the stuff that's being talked about as needed is currently being done. I made reference to the idea of how we stimulate new growth and building in our downtown area around identifying catalyst locations and engaging in smart partnerships that provide opportunities. We have a solid waste sanitation division that we've stood up, is much more prominent now to help clean up our downtown. We've been doing deep cleaning. We've dramatically increased public safety in downtown. We had a pandemic. We had staffing shortages. We had enormous challenges that faced this community. And we steadfastly did the hard work every single day of figuring out how to identify solutions to problems. We've done creative things around recruitment in our police department. I think you realize that I put forward an ordinance to prohibit open public use of drugs that got statewide attention, aspects of which I think were incorporated into the Blake fix that could be identified. We've got police officers on foot patrol. We've done just a whole range of important things that are helping. Our municipal court judge, in partnership with the city, is working on standing up a therapeutic court that we hope will have wraparound services for people who are suffering from addiction. So we've done a lot of things, and I think we could identify how to package that up. Thank you.
Thank you, Seth. Okay, the next question, we are back to 45 seconds for the question, and we will start with Kim this time. And the question is, as you are aware, unhoused people and those suffering from drug addiction have created challenges for downtown business owners, ranging from health to safety concerns. How do you envision threading the needle of supporting both the downtown business community and these vulnerable populations?
I think it's precisely the needle that we need to thread. When I say I have a vision for a Bellingham that is safe, stable, and thriving, it's a very inclusive vision. It is for people that are unhoused, that are not accessing mental health supports, that are experiencing substance abuse disorders. So my vision is for support for businesses, and it is support for people that are struggling in this moment. And I think we need to be meeting the standard of Boise v. Martin. We need more rapid shelter in this community. And then we need to take steps and listen to the actions that the downtown partnership and the business community and more than 1,300 citizens have signed on to, and take some of those steps as well.
Thank you, Kim. Joel.
Thank you. Through the proclamation, we will be able to invest in the infrastructure to address the legal challenges and be able to set healthy boundaries in our community. But one of the things that I think that I want to be able to do for business owners is to help, making sure once we have gone through this interventionary phase and we don't have people sleeping in the doorways of businesses anymore, let's make it a more friendly environment for the staff. I'd like to see a permitting process for downtown employees of local businesses and for those business owners, and a fund that would mitigate any damage to any of the businesses from any form of vandalism that may occur.
Thank you, Joel. Chris.
I think those two issues are inherently intertwined, and there are deep economic impacts of the public safety issues we're experiencing through homelessness, drug use, and crime downtown. A stakeholder and major real estate holder in downtown was sharing with me as we were having our discussion the other day of how it's affecting his ability to rent hotel rooms. That costs his business tens of thousands of dollars. He loses employees because of that and huge amounts of revenue. So really leaning into local people that are doing that work, that are incredibly compassionate, to make sure that we have community for our homeless people. Homes Now is a great organization. I suggest you look into it. It creates self-run, incredibly cost-effective, and incredibly effective solutions to help create community for people downtown so that they're not downtown, and really open up the greatness of downtown for businesses to fill that void and create great economic growth.
Thank you. Thank you, Chris. Kristina.
Thank you. Boy, am I going to sound like a broken record this evening. If we are all on the same page and understanding that people experiencing homelessness is an actual crisis, and I think that through the pandemic, we all got a better lens as to all the contributing factors that can push someone into that predicament. I truly believe that not a lot of people are opioid addicted because it's fun. I think if we were to switch the cost of alcohol for the cost of fentanyl, we would actually have a lot more people addicted to alcohol than we see addicted to opioids. We will never get out of this if we do not invest in the people who are actually doing the work. We can push anyone anywhere we want to go into a different corner, but until we address the staffing shortages and retention rate head on of the frontline workers, we will be here forever.
Thank you, Kristina. Seth?
We have to do things that are responsive and helpful for everyone in our community. When the Camp 210 protest happened 3 years ago at City Hall, I recognized Martin v. Boise and the implications of that, and I gave direction to staff to stand up a threefold increase in emergency shelters in our community. We added 2 new additional ones. We also worked really hard during that period of time in the month of December 2020 to offer yet a third, which was rejected. The question of homelessness and emergency shelter care is one for council in collaboration with us. I established a Downtown Solutions Working Group. We met just today. We're making great progress, marrying people that work downtown with city staff. We're identifying solutions and moving forward in the right direction.
Thank you, Seth. Mike?
Oh, big topic. We need 2 minutes. All right, we're not going to fix downtown with police, okay? The windows are being broken overnight. We need overnight police patrols, not daytime police patrols. I believe that if we do have police patrols downtown, we need to pair 1 police officer with 1 mental health professional, because that cop's probably not going to have a lot to do, and that mental health professional will have a lot to do. I think that's the better solution for folks that are experiencing whatever kind of crises that they're having at the moment. And again, police aren't going to fix that problem, but our mental health and medical professionals will. I want to stand up a public health and safety office that coordinates with the police, fire, and every other mental or medical health professional in our city, so that we have the right people at the right time. So when we need someone dispatched, we have someone to go to.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, the next question, which we will have Joel, you'll start with this time. 45 seconds. Recent surveys tell us that Bellingham citizens want a wider range of housing options downtown. What are your plans for ensuring that the construction of a variety of housing types, from subsidized to market rate, are part of downtown's future development plans?
You know, I was outraged having a conversation with a developer at the food co-op when he told me that he had started a project, and within 250 days, it took him to get a decision from the city on the permitting process. And the city was only supposed to take about 120 days. In that time, the interest rate had changed and the whole deal went down the drain. So I'm proposing code form zoning. With code form zonings, we're going to build our environmental standards and our renewable energy standards in the form. Developers are going to be able to, fill out the form for the permitting process, and if it meets the building expectations of the way that we want our buildings to be built and meets our standards, then we're going to streamline the planning process and reform the planning department. Thank you.
Thank you, Joel. Chris?
I do think that a lot of the growing pains and the biggest bottleneck in our community to the thriving and diverse type of development that we need is really contingent on expanding the planning department, identifying and bringing in talent to expand that drastically. That's an income driving department of the government, so it can mostly fund itself. And something that I believe that with the amount of time it takes to develop and the way that the macro economy is positioned, it's more important than ever to be able to grow that and expand that so projects can get done on a timely basis. Part of that is managing a lot of the outside investment that's coming in and making sure that those developers are value aligned with the lines and the needs of our community. That's something I've already started as a candidate and something I really look forward to continuing to implement as the mayor.
Thank you, Chris. Kristina?
As it's been mentioned, and some of you might know, the permitting process can be an absolute nightmare. And so having so much more transparency and employees of the city who are actually there to help assist people jump through the hoops that are possibly unnecessarily there, and then we're at the same time having a full audit of what can we strip away, how can we make this so much easier to get more development. And to a certain degree, it doesn't matter how much housing we do develop anywhere across the city if we cannot get a handle on tenant protections. We will just continue to see a revolving door of people being unhoused, contributing to the other major problem that we are seeing. And with Bellingham being 54% renters already, we could build shiny new buildings, but if we can't keep them in there, what does it matter?
Thank you, Kristina. Seth?
I think a range of things are needed. I'll address the issue of increased personnel in the planning department. Heard that a lot this campaign season. We budgeted for a number of positions in the planning department. Their issue was staffing shortages. It wasn't budget capacity. And of course, there's a process by which we engage with council for creating additional budget capacity through the supplemental budget process. So that's something we can work on, but the challenge has been staffing shortages, not budget. So we're committed to staffing back up. We just hired a new planner today, I'm pleased to say. Liability condo reform, that's something that we need, I'll mention. It requires a state fix so that we can start buying ownership types in downtown and get buildings with condominiums in them.
Thank you, Seth. Mike.
I am the only candidate with a paid-for workforce housing plan that does not require new tax increases. That's among the five of us, I think that's unique, and I'd like to push for that downtown. Creativity is what's needed, right? If we want people to enjoy a particular area, they need to like what they see, okay? So building forms and experiences that they want to be around. Imagine when you took your last vacation, the coolest thing that you saw. Like, imagine that in your town. Those are the ideas that we need. We need some code changes. I will lobby our city council to make those code changes. And that creativity, again, literally the most critical thing. The mayor needs to make sure the staff understand what that looks like and how to implement it.
Thank you, Mike. Kim.
Well, let's address our staffing shortages in the planning department by having great, strong leadership that makes the city of Bellingham the best place to work. So we could start there. Reduced permitting times, reduced cost, it creates incentive to build more and creates more affordability. Let's look to expedited permitting processes that other communities are doing well. Let's invest in capstone projects in the downtown that can act as comparables for financials for other development downtown. My vision for downtown is where families are living. I talk about dashboards, but when we see families and children living downtown, we know we will have arrived.
Okay. By the way, kudos to all of you for staying on time. You have done fantastic. We're asking some really heavy questions here that you have to give all the solutions for in 45 seconds. So really do appreciate that. We're going to lighten it up a little bit, and we're going to give you 30 seconds for this question. And we'll start with you, Chris. What is your all-time favorite downtown experience?
All-time favorite downtown experience has to be the farmers market. It's something that was very foundational for me in my professional career. I spent a lot of really quality time with my mom there in the last cognizant years of her life, as well as now. I take my boys down there and we love it. We feed our family from that event, and it's something that to me is really it's kind of a hallmark event that really speaks true to the values of our community. So that's my favorite.
Thank you, Chris. Kristina.
I've got a two-parter. Pride was amazing this year. All the team that helped to put that together for its most banner year yet. That is probably my favorite annual event to attend. And then on the other side, I started and run my own singing competition, which is currently at the Wild Buffalo, called Bellingham Idol. And the community that comes together, the friendships that are made, it will always forever be no cover, and the contestants never pay a fee. So giving our community members with so much talent the opportunity to rock out on stage is my favorite moment.
Thank you. Seth.
I'm going to show my age here, but summer of 1985 at Bucks. That's back in those days. There was nothing more fun in the entire world than going to Bucks on State Street on Friday night. That was actually the great night. Back in those days, everyone danced. Everyone danced, drank lots of beer, and danced. And then 1990 came, and the grunge movement, and all of a sudden, everyone stopped dancing. I remember that distinctly. I don't know what happened, but dancing at Bucks in the 80s.
Mike.
All right, it's going to be quick. Pekachuka, do you remember that? Sustainable Connections, Pekachuka, remember that? Anyway, I had a big chair. If you've seen the big chair, that was mine. I would say the most memorable for me, though, is when I was on the Letter Streets Neighborhood Association, and I cleared the brambles along the creek downtown where Chuckanut Brewery eventually moved in. And I remember talking to the owner there, and the owner said, "We moved in here because we had such a great view of the creek." So that was really memorable to me. I love public service, and that was public service that turned out in a great way for the downtown.
Thank you. Kim?
Well, I wasn't much of a Bucks, but I was a Beaver kind of gal back in the day. I would say I've also had some great experiences downtown, both at Pride and at Tune Up just this last weekend. I love those kinds of opportunities to come together. And I think on a regular weekend night, it might be just going to the Pickford, seeing cinema, and then going to the Temple Bar and debriefing with friends afterwards.
Thank you, Kim. Joel?
Nice. Well, mine is kind of like a day in the life of when I was a baby back in the 80s. My mom used to bring me on the bus, and we'd sing the wheels on the bus as we rode downtown, and we'd stop into Clark's Feed and Seed. And yet, just yesterday, I saw Mr. Clark up at the Cordata Food Co-op, and we were talking about. But then we would go over to the Bakery. And ever since then, the Bakery's been comfort food for me. And if it's anything I could use this platform for, it would be to bring back the soup at the Bakery for breakfast.
All right. Thank you, Joel. Okay, well, it's 7:30, which means now it's time to ask questions that have been presented to us by our audience. I have 6 questions here. We'll hopefully be able to get to them. And what we will do is we will start with you, Kristina, for this next question. And the question from our audience member is, businesses who have had windows broken or have had to invest in private security independent of current city funding are experiencing cost burdens out of their control. What responsibility or solution does the city have to unburden them financially or otherwise?
The current solution that the city has, I don't know of any. But when it comes to looking at the future, this town is so wonderful, and it's so small that I really think that we can work together, lean on each other, and I think that bringing the Small Business Development Center, bringing these issues to their attention and having them work with the city on grants that could ideally cover the cost of this unfortunate fallout from all the crises we are living in together is the most available and low barrier, low cost way to make sure that we are not draining our local businesses any more than they've already gone through.
Thank you, Kristina. Seth?
We have to make, of course, important distinctions between public use of dollars and that which is private. So there's some things that local government can't help with, but just today in the Mayor's Downtown Solutions Work Group, one of the ideas that was raised as something we might explore is creating some kind of a security grant program to establish and endow a fund so that businesses downtown where a glass getting broken that might cause real hardship for them could have a place to go to get some kind of economic assistance and help. So that might be coming forth.
Thank you, Seth. Mike?
So, windows get broken overnight, so I think my proposal to have police and mental health specialists downtown overnight can solve a lot of this problem. I would love to explore a concept. Now, as a port commissioner for 8 years, I found a lot of ways to do things that cities can't quite do and cities can't quite do what ports do, but I would love to bring an idea like this. If a window's broken, you call the city, and the city dispatches a local window replacement company right away, and they build a city. And then we work with the building owner, their insurance company, et cetera, to get reimbursed so that the cost isn't completely borne by the taxpayers, but it needs to be done right away. And we focus that effort anywhere in the city where a problem like that is happening. So not just for downtown, but anywhere where there's a spike in that sort of activity.
Thank you, Mike. Kim?
I think that we need to continue to invest in programs like the Ambassador program downtown. The city currently pays to support that work. We should invest deeper in that. We should really continue, despite that it's going to take time, to invest in a community policing model. We need to have bike cops back downtown. We need to have traffic safety patrols downtown. We need to have narcotics detectives in an opioid crisis, that we aren't resourcing police to do the work to break down open drug use markets. We need to keep investing in our safety professionals. We need to keep investing in fire. If people on the front lines are experiencing compassion fatigue and they're not responding in this moment in this way that they hold themselves accountable in the standard of care that they want to provide to our community. So let's keep doing that.
Thank you. Joel.
Thank you. I had briefly already mentioned about setting up a fund to support local businesses who experience this type of vandalism. So I really want to focus on getting to the root causes. And what I mean by that is a sense of accountability. We have a duty to have, just like any parent raising their children, has a duty to teach the residents of Bellingham what is okay and what is not okay. And when we restore a sense of accountability, we will alleviate the root causes of a lot of this vandalism that we're seeing. I am opposed to more security grants. I am for family-sustaining union careers with the city. I believe we need more sworn officers. I do not believe that we should be putting public safety dollars towards people who do not have the ability to act on behalf of the people.
Thank you, Joel. Chris.
I think that the types of issues, vandalism and loss that happen due to some of the instability of downtown are very much driven by people downtown being desperate, only being able to get services downtown and acting in a way that could be criminal or create some of the sort of these pains. Now, the solutions to those as a business owner are fairly simple, and if you have decent insurance, shouldn't be that difficult. So making sure that the Small Business Development Center is, as well as groups like Sustainable Connections, have easy access to, if need be, and there is real economic hardship, to subsidize fixing some of those issues and expediting it because it's timely. But the real long-term solution is making sure that there is less crime downtown in general, which means making sure that we have safe community for those with less to be safe outside of downtown.
Thank you, Chris. The next question, which we will start with Seth on this one. What kind of incentives can you create to convert vacant commercial space to residential use?
Condemnation, taxes. There's an idea of, it sounded like I was being smart alecky when I mentioned condemnation, but it has been utilized before, and it is an option that's available, and it can work to great effect. It can also be a motivating force. There's been a lot of talk about the idea of putting forward some kind of tax on underutilized spaces that could serve as an incentive for absentee owners to do something meaningful with their space. So those are a couple ideas.
Thank you, Seth. Mike.
I think there's two parts to this. One, Congress is letting us down. They've written IRS tax rules that allow people to sit on empty properties and take a tax break for doing that. That needs to end. I agree with Seth on this one. I'm not invoking you, but I agree with Seth on this one. I think that we need to look at some disincentivizing sitting on empty properties. As far as converting commercial spaces to housing, it sounds good, but the cost of doing it, I think we should take it off our table. When you start with a commercial building that's not already set up to be housing, they're completely different animals. So I think we need to look at the spaces that we have available and focus housing efforts towards those and revitalizing the commercial spaces that we already have so they are used for commercial uses.
Thank you, Mike. Kim.
I also agree that we should explore a tiered tax approach for underutilized space downtown. The JCPenney building has been vacant for longer than it was a JCPenney's. So I think there's opportunity to do better there. I also think we really need to incentivize housing downtown. We need people activating the space. And if people are living, working, shopping, eating in the place where they live, we will create a virtuous cycle that will help be building the downtown up and lifting us up and creating community. And I think that's just critical, investing in housing downtown.
Thank you, Kim. Joel?
You know, as a Bellingham native, I think like we all want our community to be run a little bit more like a food co-op or a credit union. And so I'm committed to treating each situation uniquely. And I want the laws and the regulations of our community to help protect our freedoms rather than to prohibit us to do things. So if a business owner is interested in transitioning some commercial property to residential property, I think that the city should work with that owner to help try and make that happen. I believe that we deserve, as much as the good taxpayers of Bellingham are contributing, we deserve to live in a full-service community that works for the residents instead of feeling like we're working just to live in this city. Thank you.
Thank you, Joel. Chris?
We live in a pretty, not rural, but not a very dense place. And there's a lot of room for infill. The state's helping us with some of their recent House bills that will enable infill. I do believe that if we can create enough living wage jobs and really create a vibing economic situation downtown, that we can get commercial tenants for all the commercial buildings in downtown. Now, retrofits are expensive, and I would gladly do some special projects to try and see if we can tackle that unique challenge, especially in office spaces where there are likely will not be a return to a lot of those as commercial spaces. So being really innovative, as well as making sure that the economic incentives to bring more business downtown are there as well, would be a good way to attack the solution from, or the issue from multiple angles.
Thank you, Chris. Kristina?
Thank you. I'm going to be very transparent and say I'm not a subject matter expert in renovating commercial spaces into residential properties, but luckily, when you are the mayor of such an amazing community and city, there's a lot of really brilliant people who are working in every single department already. And I do think, unfortunately, the direction to look at the feasibility of actually doing those conversions hasn't really come to the table, or at least not been shared with the community at large. And there are some great points about how expensive it can be when you're trying to go from commercial to residential. And so I would definitely be a little wary of it, but we could turn those spaces into community centers, childcare centers, outpost grocery stores, things that are lacking in our downtown core.
Thank you, Kristina. Okay, the next question, we will start with Mike. Do you support centralizing services for homelessness, mental health, addiction, and medical assistance for those in need in the downtown core, or diversifying locations throughout the community? Why?
Ooh, I think that's, how many seconds do we get? Can I have
About 40 now.
4 or 5 minutes? Centralizing some, yes. Centralizing all, no. For example, my micro home plan for our unhoused people and neighbors, you can't put 300 or 400 new micro homes downtown, so that's not going to work. So I think finding the right properties for the micro homes and getting people off the streets into stable, safe, healthy housing, that's going to be a dispersed opportunity. But my proposal for a public health and safety office that's coordinating all of the efforts that are working on the issues that we're talking about, that will definitely have to be a centralized facility.
Thank you, Mike. Kim?
I think we have to acknowledge that the concentration of services downtown right now is not working the way that we have let it unfold. So if we're going to keep it downtown, we have to be much more intentional about how we're doing that work. But a lot of the services, what we're experiencing, these are regional problems. So we need to invite the small cities and the county to be a partner in this work. We need them to be taking, their share of supports right now in this moment. And I think that we have opportunities to invest in the Iron Gate facility as really being a center, expanding on the Ann Deacon Center that's there now. There's a vision to do more behavioral health service and make that the epicenter of behavioral health services in our community, and I'm in favor of that approach.
Thank you, Kim. Joel?
I believe that we should have these services dispersed throughout the community. And I think that a part of that is because a lot of these service providers are nonprofit organizations. And it's not particularly up to the city to decide where they position themselves in the community. However, I believe that it's not just a downtown problem, right? We see members that are suffering in homelessness all around the community, and I see that there are serious public safety issues in our low-income housing areas already. And no matter where these services are, we have to make sure that we have a public safety presence so that everyone is safe and that these behaviors don't continue.
Thank you, Joel. Chris?
I think the centralization of the services, especially the people that are experiencing homelessness, needs to be disrupted. If you look at the best practices for the most successful models in helping reduce the impacts of homelessness, they are all decentralized. They're all small groups. These people need community. They need friends. They don't need large institutions and bunk beds and cops and mental care people yelling at them all the time. So the best practices really are in decentralizing it. Small groups. The Homes Now model maxes out at 25 individuals, which gives people a safe place to land, to really find new direction, create community with peers, and then also takes a ton of the burden off of downtown for being the place where they all gather. So I would definitely decentralize that and spread it out throughout the community because they are valuable members of our community.
Thank you. Kristina?
I will say I do think there's a difference in supplying shelter and housing as to having a service hub somewhere, which is something that I am passionately trying to get some traction for. There was a wonderful conference, All Hands In on Opioids, that was hosted by the Chuckanut Health Foundation a couple weeks ago. And there were two consistent things. One was the need for third spaces, which are like community centers, but also getting entities out of their silo, having them meet with each other, having them speak with each other, having a direct line of communication. And so when we do look around downtown, if a large concentration of people experiencing homelessness was in the Birchwood neighborhood, I would suggest it there, but it's not. It's right here in downtown. And if we want to make it as easy as possible for people to get assistance, we have to meet them where they're at.
Thank you, Kristina. Seth?
I agree with Kristina in her distinction between shelter and housing. I assume the question is talking about all of the above. I certainly agree with what I'm hearing is from most of the people up here, which is a diversified approach. I got a crash course in all things homelessness during my term. I can speak to the challenge of standing them up, finding operators, finding locations. They're expensive. There's a lot to it. It's not an easy planning process. But I absolutely support diversity. It should be something that is shared throughout our community.
Thank you, Seth. Okay, the next question, we will start with you, Kim. It has been stated that we want a diverse, it is stated that we want a diverse and inclusive downtown. How do each of you plan to diversify businesses downtown? Basically, how do you plan to bring Black and brown businesses downtown? Sorry, my handwriting is terrible. That's okay.
I think this is a good question, and this is a specific area of focus in the Seattle's activation plan. I measured some of the things that they're measuring on their dashboard, and one of them is minority-owned businesses, including businesses owned by women and by people of color. So I applaud that effort, and again, let's measure our progress as we go. Kristina, she's repeating some things tonight. I'm repeating my approach, and that's to take an informed and data-driven approach to our problem solving so we can measure and adapt and know if we're on the right course. So I fully support efforts to bring minority businesses to downtown, and let's measure our progress. Our progress should be public.
Thank you, Kim. Joel?
Thank you. I think that having a concentrated focus in community development and really creating an accessible process for folks, thinking about being a person of color who has tried to start a small business before and kind of what all goes into that. Finances and startup costs can sometimes be a barrier. Similarly, in an election, trying to get your name on the ballot. So having effective programs where we're able to, in the name of equity, you know, when situations for people of color or any other marginalized group need to, you know, have an exception to have a fee waived, they should have access to those processes as well.
Thank you. Chris?
I believe celebrating diversity is critical to the success of any community in our culture. It's something I've done my entire life and plan to do for the rest of my life. And it's something that right now there are great incentives at the state and the federal level to help BIPOC businesses and other minority represented groups to be able to come in and to have opportunities they haven't had. And I think that making sure that we both celebrate and create both access and education around making sure they know how to tap into those resources is really important. Because if they don't know, especially being in a situation classically where you haven't had those options and you haven't had that preference, it's going to be a big barrier. And so in that celebration and education, it will become easier than ever for people to be able to, in those groups, to start businesses here and to thrive here.
Thank you, Chris. Kristina?
There are a lot of barriers to being a successful and effective business owner, as I'm sure some of you already know. And I will only speak for myself, but there's an extra layer of imposter syndrome, at least for me as a person of color, and not having a hard time taking a pause and admitting to the things you don't know and when you do need help. And because you don't want to get, or I find myself getting worried about getting caught up in a cycle of exposing that there are things that I don't know. And I do think that this is, again, another wonderful opportunity for the Small Business Development Center to do more specific outreach. I believe it has been on their list and they have been engaging in it somewhat, but now that you've reached out to these other community members, how do we actually, to a certain degree, hold their hand so they can overcome all of the other issues
Thank you.
Black and brown people experience?
Thank you, Kristina. Seth?
So accessibility, diversity, equity, inclusion, it's a core Bellingham value. There's a number of really exciting things that we've been working on just in the last year. The city's HR department hired a DEI analyst that's doing some amazing work that's going to inform how we can deal with a lot of these issues around hiring equity. Our own Michele Martens worked very hard, and I joined her in this effort in standing up a racial equity commission that's going to be getting off the ground this year. That group is going to come together and identify all kinds of systems and issues and problems that are going to inform how we can do a much better job in bringing diversity to our community.
Thank you, Seth. Mike?
Well, I love these kind of questions. You know, I spent a long time in college learning about, you know, these issues and the challenges that businesses face. I think I'm about to say something and people recognize if you can't see it, you can't be it, right? So people that want to move here, people that do live here, they need to be able to see themselves in our community. So, you know, we can talk about being inclusive, but we have to remember that we have to do something about it, right? We can't just say it. I think one of the most important things that we can do is to incentivize, and this is something that's been near and dear to my heart since the State Street project went in down on South State Street. We need to incentivize people that are making things, right? Artisans, craftspeople, that sort of thing. There's a pickle factory that's a very small facility moving in Iron Gate. It should be downtown.
Thank you, Mike. Okay, our final question from our audience. We'll start this time with Joel. Small businesses are often called the backbone and culture of a city, but with increasing taxes and potentially higher minimum wage rules, how will you protect small business owners and culture of Bellingham?
Well, like I said earlier, I have a big appreciation for our small businesses and the local businesses downtown that give our community a lot of culture. And I've been going around having conversations with folks that are working downtown, owning and operating many of those businesses. I think one of the things the city can do is to promote shopping locally. I think like we've strayed a long way from these ideals. When I see electric vehicles that are made overseas, it just outrages me. I think we should not only buy American-made cars, but really promote supporting our local businesses.
Thank you. Chris?
As a small business owner of several businesses downtown, I have been a part of that backbone and know it very well. And I think that really making sure that our town is a safe place for that, and it has the level of attraction and the real foundation to be an amazing downtown. I'm talking one of the best downtowns on the West Coast, if not the country. And so we have some unique growing pains that need to be resolved, and there are real actionable solutions to these, many of which are being worked on really hard by the Downtown Bellingham Partnership. Thank you. Homes Now, the Colson Community Land Trust. So helping solve those issues will naturally make the economics and the draw of our downtown a perfect spot for many local businesses.
Thank you, Chris. Kristina?
I find this a very interesting question because it seems unfortunately that it's business owners against workers in a time where technology has advanced the most in human history and we have 3 billionaires in a race to space on their private shuttles. So really figuring out how we come together and we help support businesses in being able to pay a higher wage. And figuring out how to address their cash flow as well. I do think that if the minimum wage were to rise for workers in our community, then they would be able to spend more money on our local businesses. And so understanding that it's not one against the other, it's about raising both groups up together. And for that, I would look to our small businesses experiencing hardship, and you tell me what you need, and we'll get to work.
Thank you, Kristina. Seth?
I loved this Sustainable Connections Buy Local campaign. That was a success. But I look at this through the lens of COB, the City of Bellingham, and the fact that we at the city are responsible for delivering essential public services. So what is the role of the city in creating a climate that makes Bellingham just continuously more attractive for businesses, people wanting to come here? So I go back to the basics. Staffing back up in all sorts of areas. We saw declines across the board. We're committed to doing the hard work of finding out how we can increase the rate that we're staffing back up. So street cleaning, police, doing amazing work with our Greenways program, the urban tree plan that's stopped. So,
Thank you, Seth.
Yeah.
Mike?
Okay, you got to restate the question. I've been staring at my notes. What was the question?
I just put
Do
it
you all need
away.
to hear a question again? I need to hear the question again.
I can find it here. Give me 1 second.
This is a stall tactic, by the way. I learned this.
Yeah,
no, I'm
right.
kidding. I'm kidding.
The question is, small businesses are often called the backbone and culture of a city.
Yeah.
But with increasing taxes and potentially higher minimum wage rules, how will you protect small business owners and the culture of Bellingham?
Oh, boy. That's, who sets the tax rate, right? Councils, state legislature. So regulation is always hard for small business. I've been a small business owner. I'm currently a small business owner. And navigating those things, when the state legislature sets the rules, you live with it, right? So what can the city do? One of the things that we can do is look at the regulations and how we're applying them. So if we go to our planning department, is our planning department being a little bit too critical on a certain thing? Or do they have a mandate from their mayor that they are going to look at everything with a creative lens and help people find solutions, not just say, here's the rule, you have to abide and good luck, right? One of the most important things I think to support our small businesses is going to be housing, affordable workforce housing. If you are cost burdened, you don't have extra money to spend on our local small businesses. That's critical.
Thank you. Kim?
I think it's important that we affirm the role of small local business in our community, not just downtown, but throughout Bellingham. And I think it's important that we listen, that they're feeling unheard in this moment and they're asking for a seat at the table. Our businesses, they want to create places that bring us together. They want to create jobs, drive innovation, and further progress for our community. Let's listen to that. And I promise that I will be a mayor that accepts criticism on how to do better as an opportunity for continuous improvement, because I know that we can do better by Bellingham together in this moment, and it absolutely is a yes and. We can support our workers and our small businesses. Those two things do not need to be at odds.
Thank you, Kim. Joel?
I believe I
Oh, you did go. Thank you. My mistake. Sorry. I got thrown off rereading the question.
That's my fault.
No, it's not. You're good. Well, first of all, I want to thank all of you for, in our audience, for submitting so many questions. We had a lot of questions, and obviously we didn't have a whole lot of time to be able to get to all of them. I also want to please thank our candidates as well. We do have a 60-second closing remark as well from each of you. And what we will do to start the 60-second closing remarks, we'll start on the other end of the table this time and work this way towards me. So Joel, we will start with you with your closing remark.
Well, it's like the opposite of on the ballot, saving the best for last. On that little line, I am asking for you to please write my name in on the ballot. Dream big in the primary. And if what we've talked about tonight, and when you go to my website, joel4bham.com, that resonates with you, please help me advance to the general election as an independent and somebody who will guide our community through this crisis related to homelessness and all of these public safety issues. I'm not going to go in more on that because what I want to point out is that I think that I'm demonstrating that I'm a courageous leader who stands up for what's right, and we don't know what's ahead. We got national elections this next year. You know, when other people get elected, you know, the pandemic taught us you never know what you're going to be faced with. No matter what the crisis is, I will handle it head on with integrity and protect the rights and freedoms of Bellingham voters. Thank you.
Thank you, Joel. Kim.
I think that there are stories being told about Bellingham right now. There are stories that I've heard on the campaign trail if I'm around a dining room table, at a barbecue, in a summer barbecue in a backyard, and certainly if you go online, you can hear stories that aren't reflective of the community that we can be. And I think it reflects a community that feels disconnected from leadership in this moment and a yearning for more courageous leadership and tangible, real actions in this moment. So I hope that in 4 years as mayor, this community will be telling very different stories. Stories of city workers that can afford to buy housing and the city that they serve every day. Stories of tangible actions to create a more hopeful, healthy, and resilient community in light of an uncertain climate future, and a safer, more stable, and thriving, prosperous Bellingham for everyone. You can go learn more about my candidacy at electkimlund.com. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Mike.
All right, going to stay on topic. Going to read this to you. Thank you, Chris. Seth, Kim, Kristina, Christopher, Joel, appreciate everybody being here. And of course, everybody that's out here and watching. Bellingham mayor isn't just an executive that's managing staff. We have a strong mayor position here, and that person needs to understand urban living or be a cheerleader for local businesses, know what Public Works does and how they do it. A Bellingham mayor needs to see missed opportunities, and to do that, a mayor has to be much more than a politician who just got the most votes, right? A mayor must understand cities, and then that mayor then leads staff and employees to do the work that the people asked to be done. You don't have to convince me that our regulatory oversight is slowing down things like getting a permit for your remodel or a house. It shouldn't take 10 weeks for anybody to look at that. The State Street bridge replacement downtown took way too long. It hurt businesses downtown. Process. Too much. Look, I have plans to tackle our issues. You can see those plans, Mike McColley from mayor.com. Take a look, give me a call, let's chat.
Thank you, Mike. Seth.
Thank you, everyone that's been here tonight. It's been a nice evening. Happenstance, fate, whatever you want to call it, made me the COVID mayor. Shortly into my term, I was in emergency response. An enormous, challenging array of social conditions were exacerbated, and I spent much of my first term in crisis response that just consumed us every day. I bore a lot of weight, but I want to say that things are getting better. Things are getting better across the board. We live in an absolutely remarkable community. We have creative community members. And the process is they express themselves. We take that information, we vet it through council, and it informs public policy. There's a process by which we do things. I've learned an enormous amount, assembled an amazing staff. We're making progress every single day, and I look forward to serving 4 more years. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Seth. Kristina.
As a woman who was raised by a single parent on every government subsidy that she could apply for, I really understand the crunch that is happening for so many families in our community. You don't have to explain it to me. I get it, I believe you, and you need assistance. As someone who spent over 15 years in hospitality, I truly know what it's like to serve people, and I do it with a sense of urgency because in this arena, people's lives are on the line. As a activist here locally for the past 6 years, I'm good at organizing and advocating and seeing the real big picture of what lever we need to pull first. And with everything else going on in our community, if we cannot get a hold on our tenant protections, we will never see an end to the cycle. So with everything else that is going on, and all of it is very, very pressing, the 54% of our community who is left to twist in the wind need to be stood up for. Thank you.
Thank you, Kristina. Chris.
I would like to just express a lot of gratitude for you all coming here tonight. You are what makes Bellingham great, and that includes you, the candidates. It's been a great pleasure getting to know all of you, and I am excited to continue to do so and work alongside each other as business owners, as politicians, as concerned community residents to do that. So thank you for that. I am in a unique position that I'm the only candidate that's not already entrenched in the government of this city. I embody a fresh, exciting perspective that has both the skills, the experience, and really the skin in the game as a small business owner of several businesses in this town, as a father of a 2- and 4-year-old son. I live off Sunset right by that abandoned Blue House. If you want to come by and say hi, knock on the door. And so to earn your vote, I'm committed to working hard, to working smart, to being compassionate and collaborative, to solve a lot of these growing pains we're experiencing so Bellingham can continue to thrive, not only for my generation, my son's generation, but generations to come. Vote McCoy for mayor. I'm the first on the list.
Thank you, Chris. So I would like to thank our candidates, of course, and I would like to, again, give a shout out to the Downtown Bellingham Partnership for organizing this event, as well as in partnership with the Bellingham Regional Chamber of Commerce. Tonight's event is one of many that our Downtown Partnership hosts for our community. Thanks to them and their hard work, many great things are happening in downtown that add to the vibrancy of our community. Just a few of the positive things happening, including new businesses, beautiful murals, community building events, including Downtown Sounds, which that's tomorrow. Halloween trick-or-treating, wine walks, cider strolls, First Friday art walks, and many more. If you have not been to downtown lately and participated, please join in the partnership, become an insider, and participate. You can stop at their table out front on the way out to get more information. Additionally, as I mentioned, tonight's event was brought to you by the Bellingham Regional Chamber of Commerce. Want to remind you, Guy would be upset with me if I did not mention this. The primary, of course, is August 1st. Don't forget, please vote. There's a lot of good happening in our community, as well as the top 7 under 40. You can go to the Bellingham Regional Chamber of Commerce event and nominate a top business or community member under 40 years old, and also Leadership Wacom, which is something else the Bellingham Regional Chamber of Commerce offers. This brings us to a close for our 2023 Mayoral Forum. We would like to thank all of our candidates for your time and commitment. Thank you so much for your commitment to the city of Bellingham and for being here tonight. We wish all of you very well in your campaigns. Thanks so much for being here, everyone.